I think Perth is shaped by mining, by isolation, and by an epic summer. I think they're the three things that really feed into Perth. So the mining brings a lot of wealth into the city. The FIFO lifestyle really affects things like, well, lots of things, marriages and community building projects and stuff like that. I think the long summer, it's really hot, really from September through to about April, and so you have this sun-drenched feel. And the isolation means that it kind of, Perth as a city develops its own ecosystems in terms of community and stuff. Bali's closer and cheaper to get to than Sydney, and Asia's just up the wing. So in terms of establishing a church with that long summer, but I mean literally a long summer, but also symbolically a very lifestyle-driven city. It means you've got to both run with people in that way, try to connect with them because they're building their communities and their attachments through sport and outdoor activities and that kind of thing. But also there's idols to be called and things that stand in the way of people knowing God. Similarly with FIFO, that whole mining lifestyle is often taking a big gamble in your 20s and 30s to put aside the kind of money that will get you through 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s. And it means that people are giving some of the most effective years of their life, not to the kingdom of God. So I think you've got a mixture of what, I guess like in any city, wanting to see the paths that people have built and walk with them on them as far as you can, but also to see where those paths are not kingdom of God paths and present the kingdom of God not just as an addition but as an alternative to the life that they're living. So the work at City Church at St Matthew's, I think, is as we planted back onto the campus and had our student ministry focus there, we've been left with guys that largely work in the city and in the surrounding areas, and so it's been a great preparation ground for City Church Providence to be working with people who are city workers who are, I guess like in other cities, time poor and resource rich. And I think that makes for particular challenges. A lot of churches rely on people being time rich, and these guys just aren't. And so I think we've started to negotiate some of the challenges of that. I think the changes in the city have been a real gift. You might have, maybe you don't know this, but in the New York Times, Perth has got a couple of favourable write-ups recently as a kind of hipster town with great minibars and so on. And I think just as we're moving into the city with City Church Providence, the city is a place that people don't just go in, work and leave. They actually are hanging around. We went and had drinks with a couple of friends on a Thursday night in town, and it was the next stage equivalent of university ministry. There were people everywhere and they weren't going anywhere. And we thought to ourselves, they're here, they're not in a hurry, they're not trying to crack a deal, they're drinking drinks and eating oysters and tapas and stuff, and if there was some way, they're there and they want to talk, and we want to talk to them about Jesus. I think there's two real things for us. One is that, as I was saying before, the city, for the first time really in a long time, perhaps ever in Perth, is a place where people stay for extended periods of time when they're not working. So it used to be that if you were trying to evangelise in the city, you were hustling people over their lunch times, and like the guy with the pamphlet handing it out, and whoever goes into a city and thinks, I'm here to get interrupted in my day. But with all the minibars and people moving and living in the city, there are people who are hanging around in the city, and we want to do a bit like what you do on a university campus, to go in there with evangelists and just hang out and see what it looks like to get to know people, from the homeless guys through to the executives drinking on the rooftop bars. I reckon there's a chance there. We don't know what the answer is, but we know that they're there and they're talking, and we want to talk to them. So partly what we're going to do in the next 6 months from June is just spend a lot of time in the city, hanging around, talking to people, coming back, talking the next day, finding the nooks and crannies where people are, and fishing, not when it suits us, but when the fish are biting. So that's the first thing, which is a really traditional kind of walk out there, fishers of men, evangelism stuff. And the other one, which isn't rocket science, is that we find that the correlation between people hearing the gospel in the context of a real Christian community, as opposed to just accessing it cold, is enormous. By which I mean, we want situations where people are hearing the gospel while they're seeing the Christian community in action, hanging around our churches and our gospel groups. So we've really made our gospel groups, our Bible studies called gospel groups, very decentralised and very able to forge their own lives together. Lots of meals, lots of eating, weekends away, and stuff like that, and really encouraging their non-Christian, them to invite their non-Christian friends to be part of that, and then parachuting in the courses, the Introducing God and the World We All Want Christianity Explored into the groups where the community already is, rather than drawing people out for courses. And so we're really we're minimising and simplifying the extra structures, and really we're about Sunday and a weeknight. There are two things, and we want to pour as much evangelism as possible into the existing things, because people are time poor and because them seeing a Christian community is a huge